Well, today on The Calling, if you were watching the first half of this interview, we've had Pastor Mike Conaway on from City on the Hill Church in St. Petersburg, Florida. Some great insight, some great stuff. God's really doing some amazing things there with him and his church, him and his wife Lorena. And so coming back on the air, Pastor Mike, we basically were talking about, the process of where it led up to, how God spoke to you and how it came to unfold. Tell us why St. Petersburg and why or how that kind of came about to pick that city to launch this church.
I believe that God positions us for a specific reason and a specific season. My wife and I started in Central Florida in Dade City. I was saved at Dade City Calvary Assembly. Shout out to my peeps there. Y'all. Frankie, that's where you're not at, as a matter of fact. So my wife and I always knew that we were going to minister in Central Florida. We just we always felt a calling. We went to North Carolina and served there, had a blast. Went to Texas, had an awesome time in Texas. I love the Cowboys, so obviously being in Texas was awesome. But God opened the door for us to come back to St. Petersburg in 2003. And we just began to have an affection for this city and the people here. And we began to serve at a wonderful church here. We served faithfully as children's pastors, as small group pastor, teaching pastor, men's pastor, evangelism pastor, every other kind of pastor that we could. We just continued to serve, and so in that process, what happened is we just began to have a heart for this city, and so when we thought of leaving this city, it was very sad, and then we realized God had called us to this city on a permanent basis. And so we had been praying, God, give us a place where we can give our life. God, give us a place where we can serve. And so, and we really believe that's what happened for us. We believe we've been positioned on purpose for this reason.
Awesome. Now, what about St. Petersburg in a practical way made sense for you guys? I mean, I know that, you guys prayed, and that's kind of, where you guys were at already. You already had made, relationships there. But was there anything that in the determination of location that really stood out for you guys when you were praying?
Well, one of the things that we really felt like is number one, we had so many connections here in the city, and there were so many people who were wandering in this city. It's a city of 250,000. If you add Pinellas Park, it's a city of 300,000. And there were so many wanderers in the city, and my heart just broke for them, to be honest with you. When I thought about Easter and Christmas and these people not having a place to worship, a place to call home, it just broke my heart. And so as I began to see this city, God began to really give me a heart for the people of this city, not the concrete and the mortar of this building, but the people in this city. And we just couldn't see going anywhere else when the need was right here in our Jerusalem. We still believe in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the utmost parts of the world. But we sure firmly believe that this city was in need of a gospel-centric church.
That's awesome. Now, tell us in your philosophy and what are some of the qualifiers in your mind that makes a church planner?
Well, the first thing you got to be is an entrepreneur. You got to be willing to put it all on the line. You got to be, you got to be willing to fully live by faith, and to be willing. You know what I found out? That church planning is creative problem solving, and so you're going to have obstacle after obstacle, and you're going to have no quit in you. So you got to have no quit in you. You got to have a never say die attitude. You got to have an entrepreneurial spirit, a startup spirit, and you just got to be willing to just work. You better have a work ethic. If you don't have a work ethic, it's not going to work for you. Because the truth is that this is hard work. I've never worked harder in my life. The hours that I put in, I've never worked harder. But it's a labor of love, my friend. Yeah. A total labor of love. But I will tell you, it's work. And so that's one of the things you absolutely have to have.
A few people have told me, that it's one of the hardest things to do to start a church. So And I guess that could be very true. Tell us about some of the challenges you had. I know you guys have a great story, and things are really rolling for you, and God's blessed you. But I'm sure you've had some challenging things, if not people, situations. Tell us about some of those. You don't have to give out names or anything, but tell us some juicy stuff, Pastor Mike.
Well, I tell you, man, some of the things are battles from inside. There's a loneliness that comes with church planting, and I have reached out to pastors in this city and received a warm welcome from some, and not such a warm welcome from others. Being without, I reached out to the denomination that I was in at the time, and they ignored me for months on end until finally I contacted them one last time, and then now they, and in that process they've decided that because I didn't follow those rules, that I'm now, in a bad way, kind of a black sheep kind of guy. And, man, that hurts me because I served that denomination for 14 years faithfully, dedicated to them. And I reached out, and instead I was slapped on the hand, ignored, and then afterwards kind of left on your own. And I think they kind of took offense that I was on my own anyway, and God was providing because I had Jesus in a dream. And I wasn't looking to men to be my benefactor. I wasn't looking for an organization to be my benefactor. I was looking to Jesus to be my benefactor. And when you go with Jesus, you can't fail because he owns the cattle on 1,000 hilltops. So a loneliness, man, in that process, bro. In terms of people, I tell you, man, the enemy of our soul will try and do anything he can to get his hands into your people and to ruin them. But I'm going to tell you something right now, brother. When you experience some sort of push, you need to call it out. If there is dissension, discouragement, or anything, don't carry it alone. You go ahead and call it out. Just like David called Goliath out on that battlefield. He stepped onto the battlefield and he said, you come against me with a spear and a sword, but I come against you in the name of the Lord of hosts. And this very day will give me your head. And that's exactly what I do. When I see something happening in my congregation, I call it out. And I let the people know. And you know what happens? Our people, they rally around one another and they encourage. But I will tell you, there has been countless times from things saying, oh, nobody's going to show up. Bro, it rained. It rained. And it looked like, it was a holiday weekend and it rained. And everybody else was throwing in the towel at different points, And I said, I ain't going to quit. And guess what happened? We had a larger group of people show up in the rain on a holiday than we did on a regular week. So we just can't let discouragement get its root in you. You have to realize that there's going to be discouragement. The enemy of our soul is going to come against you. But when he does, you got to pray and you got to fast and you got to get after it. And I have 4 accountability partners, 4 men that I call, and I tell them everything. I say, what's going on? If I want to quit, I tell them I want to quit. If I'm upset, I tell them I'm upset. If I'm angry, I tell them I'm angry. And whatever it is, I keep it out there. So I have 4 accountability partners. I have trustees, and each person tries to keep me accountable. But I tell you, man, church planting is mighty, mighty lonely, especially when there are folks in the city who aren't saying kind things about you.